Today I'm going to talk about different effects of historic events and social, cultural changes, and also effects of globalization on landscape character of Czech-Austrian borderland. Our area of interest was an area around town of Slavonice in southern Bohemia. Actually, this town is just on the halfway from Prague to Vienna, and historically it was a crossroad of trade. This area was also inhabited by German population in the past, so there are these historical events are really strong and it's really clear on this case to show what these historical events made with the landscape. So our area of interest is situated on the border. As you can see on this map, the border is pretty clear. It's different. The management is kind of different on the Czech and Austrian side, and how I'm going to talk about it's also because of that historical development. This is the area of interest. The town of Slavonice is just like 2 kilometers, 1 kilometer from the border. And I will also talk about two small villages that are close nearby in the neighborhood of this town, Mutišov on the Czech side and Reynolds on the Austrian side. In this area there is also a natural park, protected area called Česká Kanada, Czech Canada. It's yeah, I know. It's because of the landscape character that's really has aesthetical values. So the whole area has aesthetic values, but on the other hand, it's highly used for agriculture. So this is a picture of town of Slavonice town. It's the whole, or the center is based on the medieval structure, but the buildings are from the Renaissance. You can find there really nice and original graffiti, and the whole town has really rich history. Also, that two villages called Mutišov and Reynolds has kind of old village structure and reflects the development of that area, and I used them for the description. So the aims of my contribution is to describe the landscape changes and how they were related to social and political changes, connect these changes and understand what these connections what they can tell us about the landscape and also about the future development. Like I said, we had a student workshop there last year. The workshop was called Food and Energy Studio. We had Austrian students, US students, Czech students from landscape ecology background, architecture background. We were 1 week in the Slavonice, and we were collecting information not just from classical sources, but also from interviews and observations. The analysis, what I'm going to talk about later, I made a land ownership map in GIS. We also made a crop inventory last year, And what I'm going to do is to try to describe the food system in that area. And this is the future part of the work. The students were working together. They were from different backgrounds, from different countries, so it was really rich and interesting course or interesting meeting. And the students were together trying to understand the landscape, the people there, and why the social structure and the landscape structure is today, and what were the main drivers in the past. This is just for an example, one of the outputs was outlining the whole system in that area that incorporates a food system, energy system, transportation, infrastructure, and the students were trying to look for the most important relationships and trying to find the weak and the strong aspects of this rural and on the border situated system. This is just for an example. You can see that the students were trying to figure out how the food is produced, where it goes, and how it's consumed, and what these paths, what kind of effects have these paths. You can also see that on the small picture that in the Slavonice area there is just one farmer today, small farmer that provides food for locals. Other farming activities are more global today. And also like 80% of the meat produced in that area goes to Austria, and not just the meat, also other commodities are transported abroad. So now I will start to talk about the history of the place and how the history affected the other events and the landscape character in that area. As you heard, the whole borderland is called Sudetenland because since 13th century the Czech kings were inviting Austrians and German people to settle down in this borderland areas because they were still abandoned, and the kingdom needed make economic profit from that remote areas. So they invite people because they had a lack of the labor in that areas. So since many 500 years of history of the people there that originally came from Germany and Austria. And also Slavonice area is Sudetenland. This picture shows the Slavonice town in 17th century or 18th century, sorry, where you can see the medieval structure with the walls, and also what's interesting, what for me is really interesting, is the field pattern that is showed there, and also the major activities of people that times that they took place in the landscape. Maybe you can see on the left corner that there is a man plowing the field with a horse. People are walking, carrying stuff, or they use horsepower to actually transport everything. This is just a sketch how kind of a classical village in that area can look like, and why it looks how it looks. Because in that times energy and food was kind of scarce. It wasn't easy to feed the population because they had no heavy machinery. The agriculture wasn't industrialized. They have a lack of fertilizers. So the whole structure was made to be most effective in most effective way. So in the village you have the most concentrated part. That's the buildings with some square where all the everyday social activities took place. And also in the close neighborhood you have gardens, barns, and the places where the people spent several hours a day, or they were highly visited during the year. In the close proximity, they had fields where they were farming. That fields had certain pattern because they used horsepower or cattle power to plow, to farm the land. So the strips of the fields were always from the backyard to the landscape, and has a certain length that could be related to the horse ability to plow in one way. And also the more remote parts were used for growing hay, for pastures, and the most remote parts of the area around the village were usually forests or other lands where people appeared to be just a few times per year. So this is kind of like structure what we can see on almost every town and village in that area. This picture shows the first part of the 19th century, and it shows the exact field patterns that follow and kind of like going from the town far to the landscape. Because the whole all the activities were dependent on manpower and horsepower. Also, the structure on the Czech and Austrian side was similar, because in that times the area belonged to Austrian-Hungarian Empire, so there were actually no borders, and the population was mainly German. After the World War I and establishing of Czechoslovak state, the borders were created between these two landscapes, and actually the German population suddenly took place, or suddenly was living on the Czech state, and actually the German minority, I could say maybe would already in that period culturally or socially or from the governmental point of view expelled already, because the Czech government were oriented more on the Czech people, on the inner land areas, and this Sudetenland was kind of like socially abandoned or politically abandoned already during the first Czechoslovak Republic. So there was a big depression and increasing tensions between Germans, Hitler's Germany, and other countries. So also the place in that area was the whole structure of bunkers for defense against Germany was built, and this is preserved till today, and is actually one of the reasons why people can visit the place. So the other events followed. There were in 1938 the Munich Agreement caused that these Sudetenland was occupied by Germans, and the German population, because there were not good relationship with the Czechoslovak government, they perceived this change as something that actually is good for them because of this cultural tensions. So the whole Slavince area was in 1938 was German, and the people, they had no chance then to be part of the Third Reich. It was only a possibility for them. And it set up a situation for other consequences. On the end of the war, you are familiar with the German expulsion, when the Czechs actually forced German population moved to Germany, and the Sudetenland was repopulated by Czech people from inner land. This is the field patterns, the landscape structure after the war, where you can see that there is the traditional patterns of the fields, how the fields, how the land was farmed in traditional way using horsepower. After the 1948, when the communism era began, our best friend, Soviet Union, actually imported new ways of agriculture, collective farming, actually. So this difference between in 46 years actually caused a pretty dramatic change in landscape patterns. In the way how the fields were farmed, and the whole period of collectivization and putting all the fields, the original field pattern together in way to extend crop production began. So that times were really different from the past. The German population was completely replaced, and because of this change, the collectivization of the land was more rapid than in other areas. Here you can see the difference between Austrian Reynolds village and Mutišov on the Czech side, how in just few years how the field pattern completely changed the shape, and it was because that historical consequences. On the Austrian side, actually, because of no expulsion, the Austrians were farming the land in the same way like they were 100 years ago. So, another factor that was mentioned by Jitka, the Iron Curtain that actually was created on the border, put another strong stress on the landscape. The whole, literally the wall, the curtain was placed there, and the whole area, also the entrance to that area was restricted. And these changes and other agriculture practices actually were continuing till the Velvet Revolution, when again the whole social system was changed. So there were another historical changes, and from Iron Curtain became a green belt. From the former restricted areas for military use, actually, on that areas, the nature had a second chance because there were also many villages that were actually disappeared because the population was forced from that area. So it was another value for that landscape, this removing of Iron Curtain and replacing by something that we can call green belt. And also in 2004, the Czech Republic became part of the European Union. And like Jitka was talking about, describing the subsidy system, it also starting to have an impact on the agriculture. Just for comparison, this is the state of that landscape around that two villages in 1993, and this is the way how it changed in a couple of years. The land was became more and more intensively farmed, and something similar but much slowly is also happening on the Austrian side. So this is just land use and land cover in that area. You can see that the most of arable land now is used for corn and wheat production. What's also interesting is the change in parceling of the land that was due to landscape transformation, landscape reforms during the communism. On the other hand, on the Austrian side, the land ownership pattern, the parcel pattern, is still almost the same like it was 100, 200 years before, but it doesn't mean that the practices didn't change. And just we made a land ownership analysis. What you can see on the graph is that half of that arable land owns one person. It's because even after the Velvet Revolution, some people have access to information and to buy land for low prices, and now they profit from that historical events. We could say. So the conclusions, on the Czech side, the past development strongly affected the cultural landscape on the Czech side. On the Austrian side, the development was more natural, demographic. There was no explosion, no collectivization, and so on. The changes in agro-ecosystem followed social and political changes. On the other side, land ownership systems and fields patterns didn't change so rapidly on the Austrian side. And also the post-communist agriculture today increased the pressure on the landscape. And it's something that is appearing on the Austrian side too. So we can also conclude that the local system served local needs prior to collectivization, and the shift to state food systems during the communism was obvious, and today the global agribusinesses, food systems on both sides of borders are occurring to play major role. So most locally produced products actually are no longer serving the local community. The majority of products are shipped away, and the landscape is homogenized and industrialized. And that's it. Thank you.